I've been working on this 1991 Cadillac Brougham off and on, slowly but surely, over the past few months, just taking my time, going through all the various systems to see what kind of condition it's in, and also to change all the fluids. And today, what I'm going to do is change the rear axle fluid. And there's been a few videos on this kind of procedure before, but I wanted to just kind of make another one just to cover things that I may not have covered in the other videos. This is the GM 8.5 axle. I don't want to drive around with this nice car with nearly 25-year-old gear oil. I want to take advantage of newer technology that the lubricants have to offer. I'll be going in with the Amsoil Severe Gear Synthetic 7590. Really good stuff. That should protect this rear end probably longer than I'll live. And also trying the LubeLocker gasket again. I did this on the 96 Buick Roadmaster and had excellent results. I went ahead and bought another one for the Cadillac, and I'm going to go ahead and use this instead of the RTV sealant that you have to put on there and let it set up and dry, and you basically are done. You do all your lubricant change, put the RTV on there, tighten it down, you're done for the rest of the day. You gotta let it set up and cure, and then you can come back the next day and fill it up with the proper lubricant. In this case, I can do everything all in one step and get the car back on the road. This gasket has worked wonders for me, and I can also reuse it at least a couple of times and not have to worry about scraping off all the old RTV and letting all the bits and pieces fall into the ring gear assembly and all that. It's just a much more clean, professional way of doing it. Before we get started, one of the things you want to do is make sure you can get the fill plug out, and you can get that done by coming under here and finding it on the passenger side. And there it is right there. Sorry about the light. I've already broken it loose. And one of the things you want to do before you actually take it out is wire brush and clean all around the area there before you put the new lubricant in. That way you won't get any kind of contamination in there. You just want to back this thing off. I'm trying to see if I can get that in the shot. And see if you got any lubricant coming out. And we do. So that tells me that this axle is not low on lubricant, which is a really good sign. So I'll go ahead and run that down. And that's very encouraging because there is a little bit of wetness around here, but definitely not of major concern after 24 years. And we know that the axle lubricant level is not too low, so this axle should be in good shape unless it was abused. It appears to be leaking here because I've already gotten the fasteners loosed when I got started. You'll need a 1/2-inch socket and just go all around the perimeter here and take all these bolts off. I'll probably leave this bolt here or these two bolts to be the last ones, and that way this thing won't come sliding off when it drains into the pan there. So basically you just take off all these bolts and get a screwdriver under one of these areas here just to get it started, and we'll pull this cover off and see what kind of shape the axle is in. At the same time, I'm also going to take a sample of the lubricant that's in here, and after that I'll have it analyzed and we'll see exactly how this thing, what kind of condition this thing is in, how it was treated. The transmission up there is still slipping pretty bad. I'm working on that little by little as well too. Of course, fluid in that's been changed, engine oil's been changed. This is the only original fluid left in the car as far as lubricants go, and so analyzing this will tell me more precisely how this thing may have been treated. So let's get all these bolts off of here and we'll see what kind of situation we got in there. Well, the cover has just been taken off. We're still draining a little bit of oil here. All I can say is I am very encouraged and impressed with the condition of this axle. Let's see if I can... I'm not in a position to rotate it around. I don't see any chipped teeth or anything. I don't see any sludge buildup. I was thinking I might have to take some brake cleaner and spray this thing all down, but I don't see hardly anything wrong with this axle. Let me try the other tire because it's not a limited slip. No. I gotta take the transmission out apart to let it rotate, but very, very good shape. Looks like this car wasn't abused at all. So the mystery kind of continues as to why this thing's on its second transmission. I'm more and more inclined to believe it's just basically bad rebuilds. Because the transmissions are so complicated, it's really difficult to get them just right. And it may be that they just never got the TV cable adjusted properly and they just kept burning them up. Doesn't look like this thing's been abused whatsoever, you know, doing burnouts and stuff like that. Still got the original factory paint marks everywhere. Let's take a look at the differential cover, see what kind of shape it's in. Just like the axle itself, this appears to be in very good shape, minimal deposits. You can still see the shiny metal. I can't remember what the Buick Roadmaster diff cover looked like, but I don't think that it had an actual gasket on here. This axle lube may have been changed one or more times. I don't think the OEMs actually use these gaskets. I think they just use RTV. And this looks like it was hand applied, judging by the inconsistent bead size. And the RTV is in such good shape, it actually seems fairly new. So that means this car was very well maintained. If this has been changed, anybody watching this that knows more about the GM cars would know if they use these gaskets at the factory or not. I'm going to assume that they don't and conclude that this Cadillac was very well maintained, which would be consistent with the overall condition of the body. Just paint shines like brand new, all the chrome's in good shape, vinyl roof's not peeling. So it looks like whoever owned this thing really did intend to keep it and took very good care of it. And I've just never seen, all the cars I have, I've never seen anybody change the rear axle lubricant. People just don't think about it. So this is very encouraging. But you can see the problem. You've got all this RTV you got to deal with now. You got to peel the gasket off and clean all the RTV off the mating surfaces. And that won't be too hard because this gasket seems like it's still pretty supple and in good shape. Probably because it's fairly new. Maybe 10 years old instead of 24. But you can see just how much of a better solution it is to go ahead with the steel reinforced pre-made, pre-formed gasket here. Just bolts right on in and you're done. So I'm going to get all these parts cleaned up and we'll go in with our new axle lube. I've got the differential cover all cleaned up and ready to go. You can see the fill line where the oil used to be. And this is how the pre-formed gasket is installed. And it's a metal reinforced gasket, which is nice, from LubeLocker. And you've got 3 distinct areas of protection here for sealing. And as I was cleaning this, I was able to find out that this was the original arrangement from General Motors back in 1991. That was the original gasket and seal. I just want to get another quick look of the ring gear and everything. It's amazing. You can still see some of the yellow paint on the carrier assembly as well as on the ring gear, the orange dots. It's amazingly clean in there. I never really had to go in there with brake fluid. I just patted it dry with paper towels and left it like that. So this thing is ready to go back in. We'll go ahead and fill her up and see how she drives. Well, everything is all put back together, and I'm happy to report that there are no leaks. I went ahead and filled the axle up, took about 4.4 pints, and I'm going to go ahead and get the car back on the ground and recheck my level. But just as before, as soon as you take the fill plug out, you should start seeing a little bit of oil come out of there. That way you know that everything's filled up to the right level. They give you a torque sequence as well as torque values on the LubeLocker gasket kit, and I don't really tighten all the way to 35 foot-pounds. I did follow the torque sequence, but these bolts, I don't know if they can take that kind of torque, so I just tighten them good and snug. And that's worked out good for me so far, at least on the Buick it did. We'll see if that works out good on this Cadillac, but I think if there were going to be any problems, I would start seeing some leakage right around here, and I don't, so I think we're good. So I call this job a success. I just need to check the final level, and then I'll be done with the rear end on this thing.